Yes, we can ask Sarafina. From Europe.
Okay, let us pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, God, for this session that you have given us. As it is our last session, thank you for guiding us through from the first session till to the last session. God, I hope that whatever we have learned in this session, may we implement it in our projects, and God, may it be fruitful. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Serafina and Brother Paul. Let me take this opportunity to welcome everyone who is blessed to be with us today. And it's been a long journey, but God has seen us through. And today is our last engagement in terms of this training. As it's the last day, we'll probably have additionals after the formal training. I think we will do a bit of reflection on how far we've gone, and probably also agree on the way forward. But before we do that, let's go to our last module. As you can see, you are able to see my presentation.
Yes.
Can you confirm that you are seeing my presentation?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's clear that.
Good.
Yes.
Let me see how I can make it enlargen it. Wow. I'm trying to see. Is it better now?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So as you can see, our last topic is learning in M&E, monitoring and evaluation. And as you can see, you'll also remember that all this we are putting it in the context of results-based M&E. And one of the key components of results-based M&E is the learning part. So here we will try to reflect back on the evaluation, and then also look at how the learning aspect comes when it comes to monitoring and evaluation. Right. Monitoring and evaluation is simply referred to MEL, yeah, where M stands for monitoring, E stands for evaluation, and L for learning. Okay. As a reminder, we know that monitoring is about routinely checking, checking what's happening in terms of project resources, activities, and the results, and getting to see whether it's giving us information that can be useful to management. Management is the main consumer of monitoring information. And evaluation, which is also done periodically, Many times in the middle of the program or in the final part of the program is basically to try and either check on the effectiveness, all right, of a program while it's going, but more I think is done when the project is complete. Although from experience, to avoid learning too late mistakes, it's good to, just like monitoring, do evaluation internally as regularly as possible, so that you don't wait for the last moment and they probably regret why certain things were not done. Now, learning is a concept which we all have come through. In any case, we're even here to learn. So M&E in a program or project context should provide opportunities for learning, okay? And in this case, it's just a process through which information that is generated from monitoring and evaluation, you know, the two key activities. We generate a lot of information from monitoring. We generate a lot of information from evaluation. And if we do not think about it, there's a sense in which in projects people just monitor and evaluate, and it seems like there's no effort to understand. In other words, to learn from what information that is coming out telling us. So I think the key word here is to be a reflection and an intention. Okay. And this is very important at the level of management. Yeah, that as the management consumes information from monitoring, evaluation, it should make an attempt to interpret it and get a bearing, if you will, get a direction, which means then we learn from all that information to be able to make critical decisions. This is being brought in because of the importance of learning, which is often not very clearly planned for. And I think in this day and age, without that, then without learning from M&E, you lose the opportunity for sometimes this very expensive operation or exercise that you do. Yeah. So learning is very, very important to understand what's going on. So if you carry out consciously M&E, then you'll come out with the difference that comes around within the project. Yeah. And therefore, when you reflect it even outside the program or the project and appreciate the partners and the stakeholders, then learning becomes a key influencer, if you will, of what the project is doing. And again, learning cannot just be done, cannot happen haphazardly. It needs to be planned for, and the learning should help us to really improve the performance of the program in future. So a monitoring and evaluation activity, I'm sure in some of us we are all in projects. I don't want to say that it's not there. Yeah, It is there. There's a lot of monitoring that's going on in your project. There's a lot of evaluation that is going on in your project. But in this module, we want to say, take stock of what's going on, take stock of, well, what's happening, and see how you can very intentionally learn from these activities. So it shouldn't just be helping us to either understand the activities or even focusing on our objectives. What is it that we are learning is key. Yeah. And while it's really important that we have a MEL framework within our projects, yeah, a lot of times, I don't know your experience, a lot of times it looks as if it's the sponsors, yeah. It looks as if the sponsors are the ones who are in many ways interested in learning from what's happening, but we want to say that it should be something that that should be appreciated as an activity within the program. So the certain things that we must do in order to mainstream MEL. We must plan, okay? We set records, we set goals, we agree on which activities to be carried out, the strategies, and then we keep track of those activities that were planned for in our projects. And then we have also evaluate on how we are focusing on achieving what we have planned to do. But now we introduce another block, which is learning, and that is sharing and using results from monitoring and evaluation. That's what MEL basically is all about. I want to demonstrate this with an example. Yeah. Let's, for example, think about a child marriage program, a program that is trying to that's common in Africa, to encourage children to focus on school and perhaps avoid the tendency from the parents and the children themselves of getting to be married. So maybe in this program, an example would be that the young people hold sessions, hold sessions to discuss the pros and cons of early marriages, for example. And as they hold those sessions, they share the experiences, the issues, yeah. Now, one of the most important things that must be happening then during that sharing is having a report. Yeah, you're having a report, or you're having a problem you are handling with farmers. You have a meeting with the farmers or women. So this, so by doing a report, you are simply speaking to the monitoring expectations. Yeah. But as you do that, I don't know how many of you do it. I'll shortly ask you whether there are professions or testimonies around this. As you do, you write what's happening. Do you really think about the overall goal of the program? Yeah, because again, if that does not happen, then we just report for the sake of it. In any case, that's how, by knowing whether you're on the right track or off track, is how you know whether whether there's anything to learn by. Okay. So as much as we know that evaluation can be done at the middle or at the end, there is also this ongoing evaluation that should go. So for this MEL to be programmed and be mainstreamed in a program, then you need a framework. And that framework should have a column that tells us about the learning part. Yeah. Now, using this example of marriage, let's look at this framework. This will be an example of a MEL framework. Okay. And according to this program, which is about child marriage, a change pathway will be an objective or one of the activities that needs to be done. Okay, so this is just an example, but there could be various change pathways.
Excuse me, Dr. Terry, I don't know whether your PowerPoint is moving. I can only see page 1.
Ah,
yeah, I
it's
don't know
supposed to be
whether
moving.
I don't know whether that is
about,
from my end,
It's
maybe.
not moving.
Yeah.
The screen is not moving.
Wow. Then I'm almost on the 10th. Maybe let's leave it the way it was earlier then.
Okay.
Yeah, let's leave it. Is that okay now?
Yeah, now it's moving.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Thank you, Brother Paul, for raising this up. I wish you would have done earlier. But anyway, I had talked about monitoring.
First.
Oh, sorry.
I'd have thought you were still doing introduction. Okay.
Well, anyway, this is what I was talking through. The first issue I was raising, or talking about, was what is monitoring and evaluation learning, or what is generally called MEL. Okay, and as you can see on your right, the connection between monitoring, then evaluation, then learning, and then back to monitoring. Yeah, it's just a graphical way of putting it. And we were describing what monitoring is. We're also describing what evaluation is, and we said learning is really a process through which information generated from M&E is reflected upon and intentionally used to improve the project's ability to achieve results. That's what the learning is all about. And another way of really putting that through is to say, for example, and I think this is familiar to a number of you, you start with the planning, maybe at the end of the year or at the start of the program, where you set goals, strategies, and activities. And monitoring comes in to just ensure that the activities are kept on track and the strategies are kept on track. And in the process of doing that, evaluation also must be done in order to check whether with the time we are actually working towards the goals of the program or the project. And more importantly, this other pillar, which is learning, is what now we get from the monitoring and evaluation so that we share results, okay, and be able to make the right decisions to assure us of success as we get to continue being involved in the program. So the learning part is really what our emphasis is today. And we probably might think it's really happening, I'm sure. Those of you who are involved in project activities, you will probably already have a MEL activity. And perhaps at this point in time, we just want you to reflect on what you do and see whether take stock and see whether we can now make. I think what normally lacks most of the male systems is the emphasis on the L, which is sometimes seen as if it's meant for the donors. But the learning should really be more important to us who are in the project, even before the funders or the sponsors of the projects get to learn from us. Yeah. Now, I had reached this example, yeah, which I would like to go through. Then probably we can reflect on what we are doing at our places of work. Imagine of a child marriage program. A child marriage program will be a program that is trying to help the youth or the young children not to be swayed into early marriages. Okay. And one of the ways in which such a program can be ruled out, can be implemented, is having conversations with the young people. Okay, so you sit down either in a group or whichever way and talk about and raise awareness about the early child marriage incidents that are being experienced. Okay. Now, as you do that, obviously, you are coming up, you're doing an activity which will lead you to do a report. And we do that all the time. Whenever we visit projects, we always have our notebooks and our pens. We do our reports. But I would like to urge you that as you engage, think about the goals. You see, when you go to monitor a project, you are just looking at the activities that are happening. Many times we forget to reflect what we are doing with where everything else is going. Okay, and that's what evaluation really is all about. And at the same time, in order to either improve or enhance our performance, we need to learn. So the idea is to have a framework that helps us to speak directly to monitoring, speak to evaluation directly, and also a level or a perspective that can be captured relating to the learning. Okay, and I think before brother reminded us, this is where I was. You can see that table.
Yes.
That is supposed to be a framework. Yeah, supposed to be an example of a male framework showing us monitoring, evaluation, and learning. Okay, so we need to have this in our M&E frameworks so that we don't forget the learning part. And I was thinking of one of the change pathways, or this will be like an activity or an objective. Yeah, an activity or an objective of that particular program, which is changing the social norms on child marriage. So maybe a meeting, a training, whatever it is that's being used to change. All right. So one of the activities could be to share or discuss with the young people about the concept of child marriage. So you have that as an activity, all right, which is going to help in changing the social norms. And for purposes of monitoring, you do a report, maybe for each session that you conduct, okay? And the evaluation can be done at the beginning when you're considering baseline. It can also be done at the midterm, and it can also be done at end line or at the end of the project. Okay. But while we now look at monitoring and evaluation at each session, we must also introduce the learning part, which is about sharing sessions among partners together with the team, and followed by a review of strategies and activities. Yeah, and that will be informed by what has come out from monitoring, and also what has come up from evaluation. So we learn before we take action. For us to review the strategies and activities, we need first to learn that this is the way and this is not the way. Does anyone want to share of how they do the learning in their program or their project at the moment? Daniel, did you tell me you're an accountant?
Yes.
Do you think learning is experienced in your program or project? Do you think so? There is an emphasis on learning as an outcome of M&E.
Yeah, I think so, because you see, every day we come across unique situations, as and we have to find a way of addressing whatever situation we come across, and solutions are not normally put somewhere you go and pick. You have to come up with something to handle a situation at hand. And what I know, and when what I see every day as I work, there's something new. There's something new to learn, and there's always an expectation from my boss or my client that I have to come up with a solution to whatever issue at hand. So every day I wake up with an open mind, knowing that today I expect to learn, or I expect to come across a situation, and maybe I'm needed to respond or to give a solution. So learning is a continuous process. Is every day is like it's an everyday thing that is with us and will remain with us for as long as we are alive, and we are serving people.
Thank you, Daniel. I think that's a very good way of looking at it. And true, whether in projects or even in our own life situations, we learn a lot. That's why we change our minds. And I think successful people, or people who are smart, are those who can understand that this is not working, and so learning, for sure, it's a daily phenomenon. But perhaps the trick I would like to bring to this is whether in projects, inevitably when you are able to be around, you obviously and from the way you have explained, Daniel, one would say learning is something that it's something given that it must be used to inform what we do every day.
Yes.
But in project context, other than being a project person, people who work in projects, they are wired to try and look for solutions, which is fine. And the learning that we want to paint in projects is where it's properly planned for, documented, and can be added, or evidence, as put, that it provides evidence for the changes that we've seen in the strategies and the activities. So maybe is this, maybe this the better way to ask this question is the learning formalized? Is there, can one come and interrogate it so that it's not left to people taking, using their institution, using their sixth sense, using their, you know, their creativity to deal with issues as they emerge, which is okay. But is it institutionalized where, for example, you can trace it in the M&E planning, you know, the M&E framework? Is it for you, Daniel, institutionalized where verification can be actually done, or it just happens because a normal human beings must just be in a position to learn and do things accordingly? Is it formal? Is it institutionalized, Daniel, in your program?
No, actually, like when we started, I think I remember mentioning that it's now that we are creating an office for an M&E person. So
okay.
yeah, so learning, I hope maybe this person will have that formalized, but basically we don't have like a formalized way of learning. It only happens like when you face a situation,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
to look for a solution.
yeah, yeah. And moreover, if it is formalized, then it needs to be directly related to the M&E.
True, yes.
For those people who go out and do monitoring. And I like the fact that you're saying now the management has probably thought that it's now important to have an M&E person,
Yeah,
who can begin now to see things from the monitoring evaluation part.
yes.
Thank you very much. And I hope, Daniel,
Yes.
if you get an opportunity to speak to your boss or colleagues about what you take away from this course, maybe that's something you might want to say. Well, I think hebu tuangalie vile tunafundishwa na monitoring and evaluation.
Yes, yes.
All right. Anybody else who would like to share their experience on the learning part in their program or project, whether it's existing or it's something that needs to be worked on and perhaps improved or even introduced? Anyone?
Yes, Daktari.
Yes, Martin, how are you?
Good.
How is Southern Sudan?
South Sudan, we are faring on well.
Is it normally Southern or South?
South, not Southern.
Now you educate me on that one. I always thought either way, but I see you are saying South Sudan.
It's South Sudan.
Do you have learning? Do you learn from your project? Do you learn from your monitoring and evaluation activities?
Yeah, Daktari, well, we learn every day because this is a project. And as you said earlier, this so at times we think that donors are the one that are imposing us as staff or beneficiaries to learn, but they are just tracking, they're just helping us also to journey together with them, not that they are imposing things to our projects. And that's what we are talking now about M&E. Like we have got activities, I've got trainings, maybe around gender, safeguarding, human rights. And these activities, even after after training, we do write reports, and we do evaluate at the end of the year, and we work hand in hand with our donors. Because like ERD, we have got this safeguarding tool that at the end of the year, they ask questions about how have we practiced, or how have we safeguarded our staff, our children in our projects. Not that the donors want us to pushing us, but they just want to move together with what we're implementing on the ground. And for me, it's a learning process. Because we write reports, we give feedback. And even in that learning, even we put some banners that, especially like this, like we say, children center. People should not just enter anyhowly. There are precautions, there are rules. There are also, you have got even like people who punish children anyhowly, like corporal punishments. I think it's not allowed. So monitoring for me and evaluation is something that's very key in our projects. We work not for the sake of donors, but for the sake of we staffs and beneficiaries, because we are empowering ourselves, not the donors, as you have explained. So everything for us, I think, projects, for example, South Sudan here, Yambio, everything is formalized because we have people, expertise who come to train, and after training, we evaluate ourselves. Where are we? For example, the issue of safeguarding. We have a desk person here. And in fact, I think he's Brother Odongo. So he gives trainings, and after that, he writes reports and he evaluates how everything's going on within the project. And we all learn. Yeah. So for me, it's key. This monitoring and evaluation tool is very important for our projects. So that's what I can share at the moment. Thanks, Dagdari.
Thank you so much, Martin. And I'm glad that M&E is a very strategic activity you have in your program or your project. And maybe my last question is, do you have a monitoring and evaluation framework?
We have templates anyway. It's not for the project, but I think here is where now donors, I'll use those templates that we use for donors when we are writing reports. But we don't have the M&E program, even you don't have M&E officer. That's what we also think about, having someone on the ground, like who could monitor things every time, not relying only on director or deputy director or some. I think anyway, we don't have in short.
That's you remember we talked about M&E framework at some point. All we need now to do is to add what we learned earlier about M&E framework. We add the learning component. And remember, M&E framework is really about having a plan or an arrangement of how each of the indicators will be measured at whatever time to be able to determine whether what we are doing has actually taken place or not. That's what the M&E framework does. But again, in the process of doing that, what we are saying now is that you need to expressly learn and act accordingly, which I know that is usually the manager comes in, but guys who really have the strongest will to get things done, what appears to be a gap. And I think you probably cannot have an M&E framework if you don't have an M&E person. So a lot of times, I think some managers think that M&E, then what else will they do? And yet, there's a lot an M&E person can do. Yeah. All right, Martin, thank you very much. Maybe one more or
Thank you, Dr.
anybody with a, yes, you're welcome. Anybody with a quick rejoinder or input, or just to share an aspect of M&E and learning in their situations? If not, if it comes, then we can reflect on it. I ask that we proceed, and now just talk about the components. All right, what are then the components of MEL? That's monitoring, evaluation, and learning. There are, of course, three. We have the monitoring part, all right, which is regardless of where the project is ongoing. It's very, very crucial. Without monitoring, then probably you are not knowing where you are in your program or project. And the first step is to collaborate with the organizations and design an M&E, an M&EL framework, so that you're able to use it across the different stages of a program, and perhaps also review it or adjust it accordingly. All right. And as you do that, there are certain foundational questions that you need to consider when you are trying to look at issues in the mail that relate to monitoring. Yeah, you ask yourselves questions like, what is the challenge? All right, how do you define that challenge, and how does it impact in terms of intended and intended stakeholders? Yeah. What are the goals? Yeah, have you achieved or implemented, in order to address the challenges? You see, when you are monitoring, you are likely to come out and say, this is a challenge that we are having, okay? And perhaps what is more important is then how do you propose those challenges to be addressed? The other question would be, do you anticipate the implementation of new processes and initiatives designed to meet those goals? So, and for how long? What does it take? Is it 1 year, 6 months, 2 years? And since leading and managing change is a critical, in program management, there is always the leadership part. Managing change is also a critical aspect. So how do you then envision the link between the new activities in your goal, in terms of your leadership, and also in terms of getting to manage the change that may be required for purposes of ensuring the program runs the way it's supposed to be. So monitoring is really a very critical part of this component, and it must be seen as a standalone, and at the same time with a clear relationship with the other two components, which is evaluation and learning. Of course, the other one is evaluation, which is should also be ongoing. Okay, and during evaluation, there are certain techniques that needs to be considered, because evaluation at the early stage is not going to be the same as the evaluation at the later stages. Okay, so we have various evaluation techniques, okay, which vary from participatory aspects of evaluation, and then also having the designs, the different approaches that you can have, right, in order to come out with the results based on what is expected in terms of evaluation as relates to maybe impact, effectiveness, as relates to sustainability, relevance, all those aspects that are of interest to evaluation, because evaluation interrogates those criteria about the robustness or the vibrancy of a given program. But again, the technique that you decide to use in a given project will depend on how much money, the budget, and what's the time that might be required for it to be done. So all those considerations, again, are left to the manager to decide. For example, an international development agency may have a multi-year program to change the way children learn how to read or do math in Tanzania. And this, therefore, it might require that we track hundreds of children and their progress over a 5-year period to determine if the program is, for example, working. So, although evaluations may change, evaluation techniques may change, but what matters at the end of the day is the results. Okay, they will always be the same, because evaluation normally gives organizations opportunity to regularly check how effective the program is. So it doesn't matter which process or approach that you have. At the end of the day, it's, are we working towards what the program was designed to do? Okay, and the importance of this is that it ensures there's less wastage. If we are effective, then it means we have less wastage of resources, and we remain focused on the outcome or the results that the program aims to attain. Of course, the last part is the L, which is learning. And learning is key to impact longevity, because which speaks directly to sustainability. Yeah. By collecting data, either through monitoring or evaluation, we assume that that data, both from from monitoring and evaluation, is important, and they forms the discussion that must take place at the different levels. Okay, it can take place at the beneficiary level, yeah, if you are involved in participatory approaches. It can also take place at the team level within the program. It can also take place at the management level, okay, of the project or the program, including other stakeholders like the sponsors and others, right? And the common denominator here is to learn. Yeah. For instance, an NGO can conduct a survey at the 6-month mark for funding development, initiatives, say maybe reducing gender-based violence in Southern Sudan or South Sudan. Okay, so the information can be collected that can help us to learn, if you will, a comprehensive picture of what's going on or what's happening. Yeah. And as we choose to learn, this will normally be about how the project is progressing, okay, which initiatives have been completed and which remain unfinished, for example, whether outcomes expected at that stage will have been met, or if any if they are still unattained, why? So all these questions try to, pinpoint and contextualize the insights around the project implementation, and can help in educating or learning for the team by asking questions. So these questions asked to either people who are dealing with monitoring or evaluation, can help us to learn and be able to either improve our approaches or actually be able to apply the same in other similar programs. Personally, I've worked with the international development and organizations. I've worked at the EU myself. I've also worked at the government agencies, Ministry of Planning, and I've had a chance also to work with the private sector. That I've had, I can very confidently say that MEL is very critical. Monitoring, evaluation, and learning is very critical in ensuring that whatever you guys, for example, are doing, without appreciating MEL, you are likely to make a convincing case, right? You are unlikely to make a convincing case to anybody interested, or to a stakeholder interested in what you are doing. Yeah. So why is M&E important for learning? I think it is a valid question, because learning can take place in our programs at any time. But I think the learning we are interested in here is one that emanates from monitoring and evaluation, because the other things that happen, I think Daniel spoke to that, the other things that happen that we can learn from, yeah. But ours here is to focus on monitoring and evaluation. Now, unlike the traditional M&E, the traditional M&E, unfortunately, some of us are still in, where we just focus on accountability and reporting to whatever, to the stakeholders, including our sponsors. The M&E for learning really emphasizes on internal learning and program improvement. You see, in the past, and sometimes we were torn between, and that was the traditional way of seeing it, where you just monitor so that you're able to say, this is how much you have used. And it's good that we get to know that, and perhaps update our stakeholders on the progress. Perfect. But then when we now use M&E for learning, then we are the wearer of the shoe, the people who are inside the project, and are the ones who can actually understand, who can validate the learning and apply it. So internal learning is very, very important. And this therefore involves collaborative process of data collection. We have to own up the information. We have to analyze it together and interpret it, so that we can identify the weaknesses, the strengths, and areas for improvement. I don't know, maybe Daniel, I would love to speak to what you had earlier said. Who does the data collection? Who analyzes it? Especially now that you said, okay, you mentioned that you are thinking of an M&E person, but I would like to know who does that now, and how that is impacting on the validity of the lessons that come out. Because M&E for learning, which is our focus today, involves generally involves the stakeholders, and in this case you're talking about the staff, the beneficiaries, and also the partners, maybe the funding agencies. Okay. And M&E for learning emphasizes the importance of engaging stakeholders to participate in the M&E process and provide their insights. Yeah. So that M&E for learning, MEL, will have some key things which you must manifest in the program. It is, first of all, it has got to be on continuous learning. We do not learn and stop. We must continue to learn. And then it must involve others. So it must be participatory. And it must focus on improving the program or the project. Okay. I don't know, but MEL, monitoring and evaluation for learning, basically tries to manifest the culture of learning. Yeah, the culture of learning. When something is a culture, and probably that is where Daniel was coming from. It's something that is inherent, that is part and parcel of our life. I think that's what Daniel was trying to say. But again, even if it's a culture, it's got to be strategically mainstreamed. It shouldn't be a life and a life, a kind of ordinary common sense thing. No, it's got to be something that is strategically mainstreamed, so that people aligning mindset is easier, and it's very, very important in project setup. A learning mindset is a very useful mindset, because then it continues to learn, and then therefore that's will continue to speak to the you continue to speak to the requirements. By collecting data and analyzing it, monitoring and evaluation provides insights into effectiveness of a program and a project. All right, including its policies. It therefore acknowledges that the need, the improvement of performance in a given project has validly been established, right, through knowledge generation from M&E, that is collecting data and analyzing it, and also informs decisions moving forward. It informs decisions on resource allocation. Depending on the outcome and the learning, it means then resources can also be allocated as an outcome of this process. Now, to be able to have M&E for learning being effective, right? Then, like I mentioned earlier, you need to have a clear framework. Yeah, you need to have a clear framework. And recall, M&E framework has indicators. Those indicators must be SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So that as you monitor and collect information, you are actually measuring the indicators. That's how it is. The indicators for whatever outcome or whatever level at which you want to examine the program. Is it at activity level? Is it at output level? Is it at outcome level? or is it at goal level? Okay. The smart goals will therefore mean that collection of information or data is actually focused. And if it's focused, then it means we will be able to get meaningful insights. Because of, if you have wrong data, yeah, you see, if you have, and that's why monitoring before you even use the information, and it must speak to the, you can have good data that, or even correct data that does not help you to make certain decisions. So that is defined at the smart objective level or smart indicator level. Yeah. Now, at the core of MEL, the monitoring evaluation learning system, yeah, we have said we have the three elements: monitoring, evaluation, and learning, and they have to work in tandem. They should not isolate each other. M and E and L should be working, in tandem with each other. Yeah. So that when it's like that, it can help an organization to clarify what it wants to do. It clarifies the need for the right information to be collected so that we're able to make a judgment, a proper judgment on the goals. Before we go to strategies for establishing an M&E for learning, can we get some experiences of M&E for learning, experiences from projects? Hello? Is Oigo still here? Oigo?
Yes, I am, Dr.
Oh, okay. Joshua, okay. Kindly, do you have an M&E framework that has the learning element? Or how is it done at your project?
Okay, Dr. One of the experiences that I've been having in our project so far, I'm not engaged directly in M&E, but I've just participated in some of them, whereby I found it was quite insightful in terms of learning. And I see that the training we are currently undergoing is an insightful training, more so for the projects that we are undertaking currently. And it's actually a track on whatever we are doing. And on that note, I tend to feel like by the end of the training so far, I'll be in a better position to handle these cases of M&E, and I can be of more productive to the team so far.
Yeah, most likely you are doing something to do with M&E, but I think we want that you extend that to learning. So that, because when you have that learning part, then you'll be able to make decisions on how to make the program effective. Yeah, that's why having smart objectives, which must be captured in M&E framework, is important. And I think, I don't know, I mean, there are places where you find a lot of M&E is being done, but it seems not to be, there seems not to be value for it. The reason is because, one, maybe the indicators are either there, wherever you have information, even if you analyzed, it doesn't help to direct the program. Any other experience on learning based on based on what you're doing in your programs? Hello? Clarifin.
Yes, Dr.
Hello, Clarifin.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good morning.
Good
Are you
morning.
sure it's still morning?
It's afternoon.
Are you somewhere in Europe?
It's afternoon.
You know Europe. Yes, good afternoon, Achimba. Tell us something about learning and M&E in your place of work.
I prefer to pass for now.
Do you have an M&E framework?
Yes, we do.
Does it have a component of learning?
Not so sure. That's why I prefer to pass and to learn from others who've done it before.
Okay. Yeah, I think what has come out so far up to where we've reached is that one, M&E, we do it all the time, but we need to introduce an element of L, that's learning. And that has something to do with how smart the M&E indicators are being measured. And that all that comes from at the time when you start having an M&E framework. I'm aware
Can I come in?
Yes, please do, brother.
I think maybe the element of learning is there, but maybe we are not just aware, because most of our projects will share success stories. And I think there are learnings that are drawn out of those success stories. For instance, even with when they organize camps, there are things that they pick that enable them to learn so that they do camp differently in the following session. The same as maybe if you have social sessions where the beneficiaries are sharing their success stories, others are able to learn so that they have better practices that can improve their lives. So I would think there are bits and pieces of it that would occur in various projects in their M&E, only that perhaps not in a much more structured way.
Yeah. Thank you, Brother Paul. As a practitioner of project management myself, looking at where I have come from, there is a tendency of doing a lot of good things, but sometimes subconsciously. And they help us either keep on to be on track or get things done rightly. But I think at this point in time, and this is where we probably come in, we need that connection of learning, and let it be smart, let it be very specific. And in this case, the L should speak to first the internal team. The sharing of lessons is a good thing, but it should be very intentionally mainstreamed, the learning within the team, because they are the perhaps best place. You know, the internal team are best place to use the correct lessons. You see, what you pass out to others may or may not be convincing, but the convincing part comes in when you have an M&E with clear indicators that are measured, and they give you information that when you analyze, It speaks directly to where the program is going, and can also realign you, because then you believe that what's coming from your M&E is correct enough. Okay, it's correct enough, and then you do corrective measures, and it's only after that that perhaps then you can share the lessons. And those lessons in lesson sharing and experience sharing, we have what we call policy influencing. So when you influence policy, it will only be possible if you can, demonstrate that your lessons are evidence-based. And that demonstration of evidence-based actually must emanate from smart indicators that are compelling. And you can proudly, you can share a lesson to me and I don't even use it. Or it doesn't even change the way I do things. We all the time share our lessons to either our contemporaries in other organizations like ours, or we also share even with the government. If you have compelling evidence-based lessons, government will take this, and other places will also use it. If you follow up, you might wonder if there are many people who are trying to do what you're doing. It's got to do with the way you convince them that you have proven and learned something which somebody else can also learn. I want to propose that we proceed. Yeah. If that's allowable, how then do you establish an effective M&E for learning? So for some of us who probably now say, well, this is good, but then what next? Yeah. So there are various strategies, there are various ways which you can use to establish an M&E for learning, or to establish MEL, as they say. Yeah, one of the examples of doing so as a strategy is to have a very clear, definition of your objectives and outcomes. If for instance, if your project or program objectives, and you can take this to the bank. There are people who implement programs whose objectives are not very clear, even to them. And for whatever reason, they are working on them anyway. I suspect they learn late, the mistakes, and then perhaps either somebody else uses those mistakes to change, or they start something new, but in a different way. So, for heaven's sake, if you want to engage in learning, ensure that you have clear objectives and outcomes. What are the objectives? How smart are they? And what are you looking forward to attain in the short run? So before implementing an M&E for learning approach, it's important to define clear objectives and outcomes that align with the program's goals. Why is this important? It will ensure that the data collected, you see, it's about data. Whether you're talking of M or E, it's about data. And if you have data that is relevant and useful in helping the program to improve, then you can promote some learning. So ukiwa na programs, objectives that are not clear, and not clearly defined, including your outcomes, you can never teach us anything. You can never, you cannot even learn yourself. So let alone others, you can't learn yourself. So that's where it begins. Ensuring that, and we have in the past already talked about smart objectives. Okay. So we go back to the past when we had this, you can ensure that your objectives are clear and the outcomes are also clear. The other strategy of having an effective M&E for learning is that you engage your stakeholders. Okay, so you must involve I hope anybody involved in a project or program must have at some point done a stakeholder analysis, which you should revise, by the way, as you proceed, so that you know who are your primary, secondary, and even tertiary stakeholders, and include them accordingly. Yeah. And some of the key stakeholders that then are important for results or for learning, the staff, all right, the people who are benefiting from what you're doing, and others, especially the donor. Okay, so by engaging stakeholders in the evaluation process, and organizations can therefore get insights that can inform program design and implementation. The other strategy is to use participatory methods. Okay, get to involve, your stakeholders and others, adopt, and probably get people to have capacity in focus group discussions, right? Interviews and surveys. Okay, very important, because then they can help you get what the stakeholders are thinking, and based on that, you can promote some learning, which is coming from the M&E. Use technology to streamline data collection analysis. Okay, technology today is what drives almost everything. Technology is driving both our social, economic, and political engagements. And the technology then also has a space in the way we learn nowadays. Okay. So monitoring and evaluation data should also be able to benefit from the use of technology, data collection, analysis. Some of you have used mobile data collection tools. I hope you do that, because then it helps you in quickly establishing the state of affairs, or get to learn how different softwares are used to collect data and analyze data in real time. Yeah, that's very, very important. Let me ask Clalfin, do you use, Clalfin, if you're still here, any experience on data collection using software that, mobile?
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the lessons you probably can, I think, Martin, are you using in South Sudan? Are you able to use mobile data collection techniques?
I've never experienced this like that, but maybe using photos. Anyway, we can take photos, especially when we have children come, and maybe if you have training for the beneficiaries at the moment, even it's going on. So we take photos as part of maybe data collection. Maybe if the training has happened, we report on that. I think that's what we do. But other techniques in the phone, like maybe like so those who use SPSS don't have those kind of technologies.
Yeah, I just wanted also you to know, other than the traditional softwares like SPSS, with the mobile technology, now you can collect data and use it in real time. And what that means is, Martin and your team find ways, because it turns out almost everyone has now a smartphone, and there are techniques there that you can use. I think in this class, at some point, we talked about data collection, and we must have talked about, maybe Martin, you missed on that. We talked about data collection techniques, and I think spoke to technology and data collection, both for monitoring and evaluation. So if you do not do that, then you will not engage your stakeholders, and any project of worth its salt is really about how the stakeholders appreciate you, understand you, and criticize you. And you see, and all that. Today with the technology today, if you are left out, then you probably will not know when things stop working. So anyway, use of technology is another strategy that can help you embrace or manifest M&E in your program. Now, there is the qualitative and the quantitative data. I think we all know the difference. Depending on who is who, there are people who prefer qualitative information. There are people who prefer quantitative information. But in a program, please embrace the two. They give you the chance to triangulate, that's one, and be more convincing. And here, we are talking about learning. When you triangulate, when you provide evidence, and the convincing evidence of some of the things that you might want to use to make decisions, because M&E for learning is about using what you have learned to change course or to improve course of a given program. Okay. So the strategy here is to try and use both of them. Qualitative. I know qualitative can be difficult to analyze for an inexperienced person, but the best way to use it is to use it to justify the findings from quantitative. And that way you become more convincing, and that way you become more aware of your learning. You see, you cannot learn if you are not yourself convinced. If you are not convinced, you cannot teach somebody else to learn. And that's why we're saying M&E for learning is more fast appreciated internally. And you see, when you know something and you have evidence for it, you are even excited to share about it. Or even people will want to come and, if you've gone to place and then people is like, okay, we will conduct you for more information. And so one strategy is to try and use the two forms of data, qualitative and quantitative. Now, we talked about culture of learning. You see, as opposed to probably, unless he clarifies, as opposed to probably what Daniel was telling us, a culture of learning means it is strategic, and leadership mainstreams it. So people, do it without even feeling it. There are a lot of things we do as a result of what seems to work around in a given office. So management, I think those of you who are in management positions, I challenge you to promote a culture of learning. Yeah, because when you have a culture of learning, it means there will be little room for mistakes. When people don't learn, they can continue promoting mistakes. But when they are having learning as one of their values, then even having a conversation on doing things differently is easier. When a team doesn't have a culture of learning, that team is rigid. It sees things from a unique and specific point of view, which is very dangerous in a project situation because the environment is changing all the time. All right. And since M&E for L is about learning, the culture of learning then becomes almost a must-do. And in today's world, even at personal level, without embracing learning, you struggle. You struggle. You discover things too late. So if you apply these strategies, either singly or a couple of them, depending on what you're doing, the size of your, they differ depending on what you're doing as a program or as a project, whatever it is. Applying them according to your convenience will really help you to manifest M&E for learning in a very effective manner that will improve your ability to, as a program or a project, to generate outcomes worth emulation, worth people wanting to know how you did it. Yeah. So it's something that I would really advocate. And before we go to the challenges, okay, let me go through the challenges because I also see time is not really on our side. We're almost at 1. What are some of the challenges? Yeah, there are many. And those of you who have been in projects should know that project is what drives, problems or challenges is what justifies the existence of projects anyway. So even trying to get M&E for learning, some of us might be either struggling with it or not have it because of these challenges. But again, when you know the challenges, then you know where to improve. Okay. Several of them can be discerned. One is, and this is very common, some programs have problems, defining their outcomes clearly. If your outcome is like your destination. So if you don't know your destination, then you are likely to tell a story to anyone. Okay. So that means you have what we call clear learning outcomes. Indicators is another, because you see, indicators are what drives the information is collected through M&E. Monitoring is driven by the indicators, the SMART indicators, and also evaluation. So if you have wrong indicators, you have problems. So that's where sometimes M&E for learning gets a problem. Data collection, yeah, that's another one. Obviously, you can only learn when you have the right data, analyzed in the right way, and you probably see that that's a problem area for many people. Like someone, if you don't have an M&E person, a person who can handle data, then you're already starting from a very difficult point. So even if you don't have an M&E officer per se, but you can have someone who can play a bit of that role based on their background and in their interest. So data collection, which is informs how it will be analyzed and eventually bring out what we want to learn. If it's not easy, then the other one is analysis, another one related to data collection. Yeah, analyzing data is not cup of tea for everyone, because most of the data can be complex and time consuming. So that's another one. So if you are having a problem with the analysis, you're unlikely to thrive on M&E for learning. Attribution and causality, we talked about this, I think, in our last, we must understand, you remember the theory of change? You must understand, the causality of these outcomes, the impact, okay? So if and that sometimes is an area that people feel this is related to the learning outcomes, okay? Then stakeholder engagement is another. Love to engage your stakeholders, whichever way. Let them be the ones to ask you questions and be on a journey together. That way, learning will be easier because then they'll tell you what you normally cannot be told by others. Sustainability is another, okay? M&E for learning is an ongoing process. And therefore, it's important to ensure that it is mainstreamed and sustained. And that sometimes, you start it and your management doesn't hold it on. Yeah. You see, when you are running a program and you run short of resources, you might think that some programs need to be probably scaled down or even scrapped. Unfortunately, some people think that's M&E, and that I think creates more problems. Yeah. So sustainability is also a challenge for most programs. Anyway, overall, effective M&E for learning requires careful planning, yeah, clear communication, and commitment to continuous improvement. That's something that you really, for you to promote in your programs, M&E for learning, yeah, you need careful planning. Start from the M&E framework. Have a clear communication within the team. Let the team understand this is important and they embrace it. All right, and then commit to its continued improvement. Then you are good to go. Last but not least, let's draw some conclusions. Yeah. Let's draw some conclusions, then we can have a conversation and close this. I'll send you the material so you can engage the material later for more information. Let's conclude and say that M&E for learning, first of all, M&E is a critical component of learning programs and interventions. So without M&E, you are unlikely to be able to learn. Now, we have seen that also M&E for learning has certain problems which must be appreciated and perhaps dealt with. And to overcome these challenges that we already saw, it's therefore important to have a clear understanding of the program's goals, engage stakeholders in the process, use appropriate data collection and analysis methods, and continuously monitor and evaluate progress. And last but not least is that effective M&E for learning can help to ensure that educational or health or whatever programs and other interventions are meeting their intended outcomes and make positive impact on its beneficiaries. That's where we wrap it up for this. And at this point, I think I would like to invite questions about M&E for learning. Okay. Brother Paul.
Thanks, Dr.
Yep, I can see we have some minutes. We had thought we close at 1, but I wanted us to engage into a few as a way of closing. But before I do that, then I'll hand over to Brother Paul. Any question from any of the sessions that we did up to today? Any question? Otherwise, I want to thank you all. We have done 15 sessions. We started with project management as a field, and then we also did an introduction to M&E, which is part and parcel of project management. We also engaged on results-based management as an approach, which is supposed to be impressed when it comes to the RBM and E. Okay. We looked at the approaches and the steps in results-based management. And then with that at the back of our minds, we looked at problem analysis when it comes to project and development. We agreed that a problem is what informs the start of a project, and that a project can be planned through development of a logical framework, okay, which is a framework that helps in identifying and clarifying on, once a problem is clear, then you're able to identify the objective, identify the activities, identify the outcomes, and all those are logically, captured in the logical framework as a summary of the project. I think in the logical framework, we also say that we just talked about it today, that there are indicators which must be smart, must be defined properly, because they give us a direction to where we are supposed to go. And we talked about the M&E tools, all right, how to develop the logical framework, the theory of change. Then we talked about monitoring, project monitoring, M&E reporting. We also talked about M&E plan, which now in retrospect, we should now see the place of learning in the M&E plan. Yeah. Then we talked about the results-based, the baseline studies in results-based M&E. So the role of the baseline study, project evaluations, risk management framework. And I think last week we talked about impact evaluation, and we have wrapped it up with learning in M&E. So I hope with these 15 sessions, you are now in a position to go back to where you are working and provide some change based on otherwise the time we've spent here will be worthless if we don't use the information we have received to change what we because to be here this time, you have had to sacrifice a lot of things, both as a person and also as a program or as a program, a project. So each of the modules or each of the lessons, we have provided material which we chose to make it easier for review. Yeah. So you have you are with the one I'm going to send. You're going to have 15 modules materials in form of slides, PowerPoint slides that have been generated in a manner that you can easily refer to and quickly use them even when you are confronted with the real life situations. So that was intentional to just help the busy manager of today to be able to refer and basically let the learning to continue. So that's how we thought this would work. And I'm going to send a form, and I'm going to send a form, which, if you allow me, let me just bring it up. This form for evaluation, it's very, very important for us. It's very key in. Let me just look for this form. You know, I would like you to see it so that in case you probably. Just a minute. There's this form which is which you fill after the training. We do this as an organization. We'll send it to the, unless otherwise, we'll send it to the email, which you fill in and then send it back to us. Yeah, it's an important one, so I prefer that we have a look at it together. You can see that form? Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, so that form is from us. It will just, this is optional. I'll ask you for the name, but you don't have to. It's optional. Then you tell us the course title, who provided it, at least. Then the course facilitators, how many did you meet, their names, the training dates, please indicate for us. And then we have certain offering aspects of the course. You know, there's a 1 up to 10, which will invite you to rate in terms of course content, met my needs or requirements, the presentation match the description in the course outline, or sorry, course content, the topics were delivered in stated in the course time, as stated in the course timetable. There were enough training aids and equipment. The answers the facilitators gave to participants' questions were clear. The facilitators provided illustrative examples. Training was well facilitated. Training allowed participants to use practical skills related to important concepts. The training was an effective way to individuals to learn important information, and participants were effectively engaged in learning. So this, you do it, it's basically for us. And I think it might also help the course moderator. So kindly find time. You can also, there's an opportunity to fill in comments. All right. Then you can also write the facilitator, and then additional. So it will take you like 10 minutes, and then you just email it to us. I don't know whether maybe Brother Paul can advise. Can this come to you, or it comes to us directly? Brother Paul?
Yeah, it can be shared with you and myself. I think they have your email address, I think.
Yeah, you can just share on this email. Then we will, after the training, we'll do a training course report, and that will be part of the report. Yeah. So after we are done with this training, we will do a training report, which I think will be submitted to the course moderator, and that will form a very important feedback to get the organizers maybe improve in future arrangements. That's one. Then number two, we have also had, remember those daily evaluations you are doing? Yeah. Then we will also generate a report out of them. You remember there was the form that you filled online before you started the training. Then there's one that you've been filling or every time we have, and we have those that who have done it every time, including today's. We have had a review form, and now plus this one, it will help us really generate a report that will be useful, particularly even to the organizers, and also for us who deliver this course. For us who deliver this course, we'll also learn from that. So kindly find time and just fill it and send it back to us. Now, I want just maybe 4 people who can just say one thing that they feel they have learned in this course. Any 4 volunteers? What you have learned from this course, not today, but the entire course. In the interest of time, let's just have 4 volunteers, please.
I suppose on my side, Daktari.
Yes, please.
I just realized M&E is very crucial in the whole project management cycle in each process. Yeah, because it's part and parcel of project management cycle. And without this, that you just do the project would just be what word can I use? It won't have any value, like if you won't have M&E as part of the process. Because if I'm not able to evaluate whatever I've been engaging with, even the issue of impact and the other things relating to that, it will just be there, but it won't add any value to whatever I'm doing. So I just find the M&E is very crucial in terms of making the impact or the goal of the project realized.
Thank you, Gerald. I like the fact that without M&E, the value of the project is lost. I think that's powerful. That's what you're saying, unless I'm not getting it right. Without M&E, for you, the value of the project will be lost.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Any other lesson? Yes, Legay?
Hello.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I'm sorry. I think I've been attending these classes. For me, it has been an on and off, but at least I appreciate today. From the time I joined, I have been able to follow the session. And I think my take home is the importance of monitoring and evaluation. In that the projects we are carrying out, we cannot fully implement them if we are not doing a constant evaluations. And I think for any project to be successful, there is a need to have a monitoring and evaluation person, also to guide the project managers in implementation of the project. So I think that one for me is an eye opener, and it's something that I would love to implement in the project that I'm involved with.
Thank you, Legay. I like it when you say that without M&E, you probably cannot implement a project. I think that brings in an angle that is very, very interesting, because if you are not involved in M&E, then project implementation will not be something that will be practical. Is that what you're saying, Legay?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. And also probably this one now says a lot to different projects that we need to have at least trained people who can monitor our programs and also be able to advise. Because for me, probably I'll do it, but not as an expert. But then we need an expert who will guide people on how to fully implement the projects that we are running.
Thank you, Legay. I want to propose that those who might have something they have learned and they might not be able to share, kindly put it in the messages. So if you will not be able to, and you really feel there's something you've learned, you can also share that on the chat. Now, so far we have 2. We had 4. Any other volunteer who would like to put to us? But please, those who can't get the opportunity to say it, please share your lessons learned on the chat. Yes, Mr. Hugo.
Yes, Dr.
Yes, please.
My takeaway home is I just say that projects need M&E, and for sure, without the whole aspect of planning and managing the impacts evaluation, I see that projects might find themselves in a chaotic situation whereby they can just maybe feel like they are not coordinating together. And in this case, I think what I've just come to learn is that we need proper planning with the experts in this field of M&E, so that we have an efficient running of the projects to ensure that we attain our goals.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Are you done?
I'm done. I'm just saying that I know it's a chaotic scenario whereby, if not well planned, we might rub shoulders as an organization, and this might hinder the organization achieving its own goals.
Thank you very much. So you're saying M&E must be planned for, so that it can provide the support that it's supposed to give. That's interesting. One last one as we continue receiving chats.
Daniel here. So
Daniel, yes.
Now, I think about in terms of my attendance and what I've just picked from this particular training is for in an organization where there is no monitoring and evaluation, I can equate it to a market where one, you cannot control your people and that you are working with in a project because you got no direction, and it's very easy for a project to fail if you have people, you cannot control them, and you cannot control people because you don't have direction. And the direction here means you have a monitoring and evaluation plan for all the projects.
Good. So for you, there's need to be a plan that directs the implementation of M&E activities.
Yes, and without it, I don't think it will be successful. Maybe 99% of it will fail.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniel. I think all of you, the four, we had agreed, just give me the indication that the confidence that perhaps that a number of us now have attained in matters have attained in matters M&E, results-based M&E. I want to really celebrate those of us who feel that this training has brought in some element of knowledge in project management. And my prayer is that you, with the material that we are going to share, which you have shared, including this one we are going to share, you will be able to continue to improve, because training is like driving. When you go to a driving school, you'll be taught how to drive, and you probably can be able to start and drive but the real driving really comes when you are having a car and now you are. So I think let the end of this training be the beginning for you, that now you see M&E role in projects differently, and now you are going to try in your own space, allowable, to use these lessons, like among others that we have seen on the chart, to improve your work. I think that's the reason why, in the first place, this course was planned for by the moderator. Now, we are available to give you support. We, as I've said, we've shared materials. You may wish to get more in materials. You're welcome to us. I will also share on this email a short brochure of what we do as a Real Line Development Services, so that in case you want us to have a conversation or something else, you'll be most welcome. So please, I will kind of share this so that you can engage us in case you choose to do so. Now, this is something you can do at your own. I will not check it, but kindly, based on the learning that you have shared with us, can you write an objective of how you are going to pursue it post today? So convert everything you have said that you learned into an objective and come up with a plan of how you are going to pursue it. You get what I mean? Each of us have come, we have come out to say we have learned something. Can we convert that, what we have learned, into an objective, and then we, at our own time, generate activities? That's the only way you can maybe start off. The easiest to start off is to say, I've learned this, like you have said. Now, convert that into an objective and generate activities around that objective so that you can pursue them at your own time. Please do that. Daniel, are you going to do that?
Yes,
Yeah, like for Daniel, you said you have learned that M&E plan is important. Okay, so
yes.
convert that into an objective and say, I'm going to probably going to, depending on what you are doing, I'm going to ensure that M&E plans are generated in whatever work that you do. And then after you've generated that objective, come up with activities that you're going to do so that you say, starting from today, moving forward, as you pursue that objective, you engage into certain activities. And if you do that, then the impact of this training will be long lasting.
Yeah, I was actually sharing this with my boss, and she said now after this particular training, we have to come with a policy on monitoring and evaluation. And I thought it's a very good thing now because like all of us here will have to know what monitoring and evaluation is, and also how it implemented in their departments. So the first thing, as you said, yes, I will do that, but we will also sit down as a team with Legay and Violet, because we are three of us, and be able to come up with a policy, M&E policy for our organization.
Good. And if you need any support, just contact me, and this just to see that at least help you move to the next level. Yeah, I can do that on personal basis without any.
Thank you so much.
If you need any direction in your support or suggestions, yeah, feel free to. The brochure I'm sharing has my contact. You can reach us, and then you can engage us, because we have been this. Let's be in this together.
Yes.
We can always support you to move. We are available for that. Before I hand over to Brother Paul, I know I've already mentioned that we will do a training report, which we will submit to the moderator, showing based on what you will give us and the other evaluations that we have done in the past, plus what you'll do when we send you the form. So kindly, please, don't forget, I re-emphasize that you fill in the evaluation form so that it helps us to generate a good report that can help us move both as trainers and also as trainees on your side. I know Brother Paul talked about certification. I think I can just say that I think we intend to give all participants a certificate of participation. And I think I want to allow Brother Paul to speak to that. And finally, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity. It's been a moment of note for me. It's been a special moment interacting with you guys. Thank you for your active participation. Thank you for sharing your stories, your experiences with us, and making this training to be as eye-opener as possible. And yeah, I'll miss you. I've been looking forward to meeting you guys every week. Now we are done, but anyway, in life we must move on to other things. So I want to wish you well in your work and success as you continue to be the modern project management experts. Back to you, Brother Paul, and maybe there'll be someone to close without a prayer.
Thanks, Dr. Mine is just to express gratitude to Dr. because I know you went out of your way when we planned this. I thought maybe the training would take 1 month and maybe and a half, but you even included some topics that were not in the TOR that we signed, which you felt were foundational to what we were trying to attain. So thank you for that, and also for expressing to the participants that you are there to assist for any consultancy services that may be required. Also, I want to thank our participants attending this while also trying to meet the demands of your jobs can be challenging, but you've made that effort to attend since 13th of August up to now when we began. And also, especially those coming from Yambio or South Sudan, I know that the internet can be a major problem there and the power, but they have really made effort to be with us and be part of the training. So it is now upon you guys that what you've learned here, you use it to improve your M&E frameworks that you already have developed from your logical frameworks, and make it a workable framework, not just gathering dust in the shelf or it's just left in the soft copy of your computer, but make it work. And also, this is an opportunity as because we have various projects and programs here, and also those that are beyond RMA, Edmund Rice Ministries in East Africa. It can be an opportunity to share the best practices. We don't want to see one project struggling with M&E while one is doing very well. So you can use the WhatsApp platform that we created, maybe just to learn, because with a strong M&E and project and program design, those are very key in really trying to get funding from our donors. And we thank ERD that gave us the funds to run this. So for those that are getting maybe funds through ERD, it will be good that you become a success story when it comes to M&E and maybe generating learning out of your interventions. So, and also ERI, Edmund Rice International, which is our organization for international advocacy in Geneva. They provided us with this platform, Zoom, in order to be able to deliver this. So we are really grateful to them, and also to God and for good health for all of us.
Yes.
Yeah, so with regards to certificates, we are working on them, and we will be sending them to you. In case I'd shared the list of participants, which was submitted to us by your program managers or officers. If in any case, maybe your name is not spelled correctly, it will be good that you can just contact me through the email that I usually use to share the link. So thank you very much. And we hope to have such opportunities in future. And also not just virtually, but also maybe gathering together physically to have various trainings. So the evaluation report that Dr. has talked of will be very key, because I'll share that together with the report that I will write to our donors, so that next time they can continue supporting us to do other trainings that will be beneficial to us. So thank you very much. So
maybe, brother, before you get someone to pray, I've shared a brochure, a small brochure of our profile on the email, so you probably might want to look at it at your own time. We had said we see people, and are you people able to see me? Let's start
Yes.
with Oigo. Can we see you? Oigo? Oh, Daniel is here. Daniel, hi.
Hi.
Now I have
Sorry, we are
okay,
in the
Oigo
dark.
is here. That's great. Then who else is here? You can, when you are done, you switch off, Oigo. Achimba, you are here? Can we see you? Even if you're in your car. You know, sometimes people meet when they're in the car.
Unfortunately, you
Well,
can't see me.
eh?
You can't see me.
That's understandable. Tabitha, there you are. Thank you very much. Now I see the first. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Who else is not here? Maslinas. Oh, Maslinas, how are you?
Very good, very good.
Oh, great. We at least finally come to terms with the Maslinas. Thank you very much, brother James. Hello, James. Oh, this is James.
This is James
great.
from South Sudan.
Oh, great. Oh, Southern Sudan.
Yes.
How is Southern Sudan?
We are pushing. Things are moving well.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
We thank God. Thank you so much. Isaac Osinya is we earlier saw Sarafina, so it's fine. Oh, Isaac, hi. Thank you so much. Martin.
I too.
Martin.
Yes, I'm here, Daktari.
You can, I can't see you.
Oh, here is my face, sir.
Oh, I can see you keeping well in South Sudan.
I'm trying with the director here. I think he's keeping me
I
well.
think you look okay. You are well, man. Thank you. Victor.
Yes.
Victor, are we in a position to see you?
Yeah.
Okay. I can see you.
Yeah, trying to put the video. Yeah, that's it.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think that's it. I don't think there's anybody we have not seen. I hope we will be able.
Legay, not yet.
Who?
Legay.
Legay, she didn't?
Yeah, and Ochieng Violet.
Oh, please. Legay? Oh, Legay is here.
We don't have electricity, so I don't know if you are able to see me well, but I'm here.
No. I think it is services. We can see you at least from my end here. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And lastly, is Onyango?
Violet.
Onyango Violet.
Ochieng.
Hi.
Oh, great. Oh, this is Violet. How are you, Violet?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. So I think, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Paul, I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a really pleasure meeting you and hanging out with you this many weeks. We thank God. In case of any suggestion or comment, the email still remains available. You can share. I've shared our company profile, brief company for you. I'll shortly share the notes plus now the most important one, the one for evaluation on the training, because that's going to form a key component of the report. With that, Nashkuru, Brother Paul, back to you. Maybe see if you can finish it without a prayer or, yeah.
So we just take a moment to thank God for the gift of our lives, the opportunity that we've got, those that are our development partners that have made this possible, and also for Daktari for sharing his knowledge and wisdom with us. We ask God to continue guiding us as we try to transform the lives of people that we touch through our interventions, and that whatever we've learned will be put in practice for a positive change in our society. Through Christ our Lord.
Amen. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Hmm.